So this video here is going to cover how we helped an e-com agency close 37.5K in MRR in only 2 months, which is almost $500,000 in terms of ARR. In terms of the background here, this is a global e-commerce agency working with stores across multiple markets, including the fastest growing skincare brand in Scandinavia. And their core offering focuses on driving growth for e-commerce businesses through paid media and performance-driven strategies. So we're talking CRO, email marketing, meta ads, and so on and so forth. So historically, the agency had relied on paid advertising to generate inbound leads and basically complemented that with a stream of referrals. Now, the issue with this approach was that their paid ads were just not really getting them high quality customers. And if they started increasing the friction too much in their form, well, the cost per call would just skyrocket and it wouldn't really be that sustainable for them in terms of CAC. So to basically support the next growth stage of their agency, they wanted to expand just beyond inbound acquisition and actually try to diversify their lead generation channels. One of the main objectives, given what I said just a moment ago, was actually to improve the lead quality. And so that was one of the things that we definitely wanted to focus on. So they had experimented with some low volume like Loom outreach and stuff, but there was never really any sort of structured high volume outbound system in place. And so that was pretty much the goal of what we wanted to do here. So we wanted to build that and we wanted to target e-commerce stores doing over $1 million in terms of their annual revenue. And this basically helped us know that this is a semi-established company because they didn't want to work with anything below that. So here's what we did. So in order to help them move beyond inbounds, we designed and executed a targeted outbound strategy built around precision, data, segmentation, and relevance. So we began by, first of all, picking the best database for this purpose. And this is StoreLeads. This is the database I recommend for anyone that's targeting e-commerce. And our objective here was to isolate e-commerce businesses generating over $1 million in annual revenue. So it would directly align with their ICP. Now, because a lot of revenue data is like not really readily available in a lot of countries, we had to use basically different indicators to guess what the revenue of each company would be. So we could look at things like employee count, company age, website sophistication, technology stack, market presence, and other operational signals. So for example, if an e-commerce store is using Triple Whale, which is a more expensive tracking software, which you can find on a tool like BuiltWith, well, that is a good indication that they do have high budget and they definitely have high revenue. And also, of course, you can say the same thing with employee counts. If they have like, let's say head of e-commerce or something or other similar roles, well, probably they've expanded to a point where, they might be over $1 million a year. So you can use different things to sort of look at this. And with this system in place, we started to map out their total addressable market. So we wanted to basically find as many companies as we possibly could. This is part of the strategy that we use here at ScaleSprint, is that the more people we can identify that fit your ideal customer profile, the more emails we can send and the more leads we can generate. It's just simple math. So this is a big part of what we do. And so now we basically had a huge, well-defined list of companies that we could target. Now, we didn't just stop there and then start sending to that list because we wanted to structure our outreach in a way so that we could target specific segments. So basically what we did is we had one campaign for skincare brands and we leveraged the case study that they have with this brand in Scandinavia, which is very big in skincare. And we basically used that. And in parallel, we also ran with a jewelry focused campaign because that was another case study that they had. And so when we could basically mention these sort of hyper specific niche case studies, it just converts so much better than just reaching out and saying, hey, we've helped so and so in a different niche reach this result. It doesn't really make sense. Like you might as well not mention it, right? So you really want to focus on the case study angles when you do your segmented outreach, targeting companies that are basically similar. So to capture opportunities outside of these specific verticals, we also basically deployed like an evergreen outbound campaign. So this was more focused on just broadly targeting e-commerce. And what we did here specifically was we led with a lead magnet, right? Because if you're doing outreach to specific segments and you have a super relevant case study, that is often so compelling that you can immediately ask for the call. But if you're doing like more broad targeting, typically you need something else that really intrigues them. And one of the things here was that we created a free abandoned cart flow for the prospects, or We didn't, but the client did. And so this was built on the insights from the client's top performing case studies. And this allowed basically the prospects to get a taste of what it was like to work with them before they could actually, do any higher commitment. So this is also what we call could call it a lead magnet or a front end offer. I guess lead magnet will be more accurate because it's free. But that's what we did. And in terms of volume, we sent 10,000 emails per day. Again, the market was pretty big, so we could definitely afford to do that. Now, here were the results. So within just 2 months of launching the campaigns, the client had generated 37.5K in net new monthly recurring revenue directly attributable to the outreach efforts. And this doesn't even account for the performance-based bonuses as well. This is just the retainer value, right? And this equates to, as I said, almost $500,000 in ARR. And this was achieved without relying on inbound traffic or referrals. And more importantly, the revenue came from highly qualified businesses that closely matched the ideal customer profile of this company. So no more wasting money on ads, no more relying on referrals. This was basically the system that we're able to get them to that next stage where they could hire more people to service these new companies. And this is basically, the ideal spot to be in as an agency where you have one channel that can consistently generate you customers. So that's it for this video here. If you want to work with ScaleSprint, you can go to scalesprint.io. You can see our video we have there explaining how this works. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a good day.